Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and Lee Cockerell is with us, coming from Orlando, Florida. And Lee and I'm sure over the years we've talked about our differences in weather. And here I am in Washington State thinking, it is so gloriously warm here at 55 degrees, and Lee would probably have his scarf on at 55.
I would, but we're having raging thunderstorms here today, so we're getting tons of rain, which we need. So, and Daniel's flying, my son's flying in from Australia, so I hope he doesn't get caught in the storm, late afternoon storms, and be late picking him up. So we'll see what happens. One thing you don't do is fly into Florida in the afternoon.
Yeah. I've had flights that were they had to fly around for a while and wait for storms to pass when we were landing
Okay.
in
Exactly.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Well, before we get going on today's episode, let me mention our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. We just had a wonderful conversation with them on episode 500 when they joined us for that live event. And if you have not heard that, take a listen. You'll get to meet Jamie and JJ Eubanks, the founders of Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach Magical Vacation Planner at 407-442-2694. Let them know you are ready to make plans for the summer. And speaking of episode 500, Lee and I received so many questions in the chat during that event. The episode, if you listen to that, the episode was about 30 minutes long, but the whole event was 90 minutes long. And we had people asking questions the whole time. And I've taken those questions from the chat and I'm trying to work through them all and find any that are going to be good topics. And some episodes, I think we're just going to say, okay, like Lee, we have a lot of questions about podcasting. I think because it was our 500th episode, there were just a lot of people interested in podcasting, asking questions about how it's gone. So I'll have actually, let's just go. We'll save that one for next episode. There's a couple bigger questions, but we'll do one episode just on podcasting. This time, let me pull one who, let's see, we've got some good ones. Okay, so this one comes from Mayrick Gonzalez. As you progress through life, what primary personal goal or aspiration influenced your journey and how did it cross with your professional goals?
Hmm. Well, I think I've talked about this a little bit lately that slowly but surely, and maybe late in late in my career, came to the realization that I should be taking a different approach and making sure that I was always thinking about being a teacher and correcting people to help them do the right thing and help them have the patience to teach, and which sometimes takes time and repetition, and you have to do it over and over and over again. Sometimes till they learn the issue or how to do something in whatever your expectations are for your business. And yeah, it's kind of that was my main thing. I like being a teacher. I like people saying, "Oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that with me. Thanks for teaching me that." Got a note from a guy this morning thanking me for my time management course back at Euro Disney 31 years ago. And I think that's the thing I came to realize is people don't forget you when you help them and do something for them. You might forget it. And I had, I mean, I don't remember, I remember teaching the course, but not him in particular. And that's what happens in life when you help people and you help them be better and help them how to do better. They don't forget, and you've made a difference in their lives because they've learned something that they can take and improve how they do things or how they connect their relationships or how they get their work done, and so that's pretty satisfying. That eventually came to me, and I talk a lot about that today, that we need less bosses and more teachers, because that's where you make the big impact, and that's where people get better, and that's where people get more comfortable with you, and that's where people trust you and will open up to you and tell you the truth. When you're the boss, not so much, but when you're the teacher and you have their best interests at heart, you get much better outcomes. And I like that. And I must say, I like people telling me that that made a difference in their life. We all like that, to hear that we've helped somebody and they appreciate it. So that's it, I would say.
All right, Lee, this is not in Mayra's question. I'm just going to expand on that. When you realized you wanted to be a teacher and that was one of your biggest goals, at what point in your career did that come to you?
Well, I think it started out when I got to Disney, maybe. I mean, it probably in a way started back at Marriott when I started teaching time management. I never thought about it that way back then. And I took the course. I learned something that was really helped me so much, the time management course. I took that in 1980 and started practicing in it, and then slowly but surely started teaching it to everybody at Marriott. And then I would say when I got to Disney and those early years when I developed and created the Disney Great Leader Strategy, which was the main purpose of that was to teach people and to help them understand what we were trying to achieve and how to be better managers, better leaders, time management. We had all of those subjects involved in that development of that. And so then and then I started the Main Street Diary, which was really for teaching, training, for people to learn, for me to communicate with them in a way that they could learn what we were all trying to do together. And excuse me, it kind of went from there. After that, I started developing one course after another. I started holding seminars at Disney for people to come to about how to be a better restaurant manager, how to do something better in their career. And I don't even think at that point I thought about it as teaching. I just thought about it as probably my responsibility. If I knew something, I ought to teach it because it helped me so much. Maybe it could help others. And then eventually I woke up saying, "Wow, I've become a teacher. That's what I do every day." And so it was progressive, and it was one thing after another. And I think I continued to do it because I got such great feedback from it of how appreciative people were. And that probably made me think, "Wow, I ought to do more of that." And then so slowly but surely, I thought about when I interact with people, think about teaching. What do they need to learn? What do they need to know? And why are they coming to talk to me? So I guess that's how it happened.
And that's interesting. So then what I like about Lee's realization that he's a teacher and changed his approach when he got to Disney, that I should be teaching people. And now, all these years later, I think that's Lee's biggest role is being a teacher, because there's the Cockerell Academy. He's got, my goodness, 10, 11, 12 courses. I don't even know right now, Lee, how many courses we've got out there. There's the Main Street Leader. So this, Lee, seems like what you're doing now is fulfilling that vision you had when you started at Disney, that you're a teacher now.
Yeah, and I think that's odd because I never thought of it. These kind of things we're doing now, from the time we started the podcast, it was just to do a podcast, but that ended up being quite a product for people to learn from. So we were being teachers even before I realized this. Yeah, what you do every day is who you become. And I guess that's how that came about. I don't think by accident. I think I had such a long career with three great companies that I had really learned a lot and felt a need to pass that along to people who were trying to get their career started. And yeah, who knows? That's how it happened.
There, there are so many people out there, Lee, that I'm lucky enough I get to talk to a lot of former Disney executives in particular that had a great career. And now afterwards, they're kind of looking for what's next. How can I still help? How can I contribute? Even though this word is not used, very few people use this word. I feel though that part of what they're asking or looking for is how can I still be relevant?
Uh,
And teaching is part of that. So what advice do you have for someone that still wants to be relevant, still wants to be involved to take what they've learned throughout their career and teach others?
Well, if you had a great career with a great company and you know a lot, and you're a professional, and people understand and know that because they know the company, they know the kind of work you did. I would say there's unlimited opportunities. I talked to a fellow the other day and we were talking about how much his influence could help kids in high school and going to speak to them and giving them that kind of a point of view and inspiration to do better and to understand they can do better when they move through their life. And so I would say don't underestimate what you know. Uh, I think I always talk about if you were with a good company that people really recognize and would say, yeah, that company, I want to know more about how they do what they do. You may be more successful, but if you've been in a leadership job, you know a lot. Uh, I would say if you've been in a leadership job, you've been a parent, there's huge opportunity to go out in the world and either start your own business or be a volunteer that speaks to high school students or even middle school students and in your church or organizations, nonprofits are looking for people to come in and help them how to run their business better. And whatever talent you have, that may be what you want to teach. And so there's a lot of need, and so don't underestimate the need and your ability to go fulfill that need. And you'll find a lot of satisfaction in it. Yeah.
I one time was asked by someone, he was pretty high up in a police department and was thinking of switching careers or going to another agency or something like that. And he said, I know the work that you do and the people you've worked with. What advice do you have for me as I think about a career change or at least leaving the agency, going somewhere else? And I said, write it all down. And he said, what's it? What am I supposed to write down? I said, I don't know, but you do. You are very good at some things that other people aren't. And your department is probably exceptional at some things that other departments aren't. And the only way you can find that is to write it all down. And then as you start to teach or as you go to another agency, you've got that where you know this is what I'm good at. This is my process. This is how I feel about leadership. These are my thoughts. And I think writing it down is a great step. In fact, Daniel did that when he retired from Disney. He just took a few days and he wrote everything down, everything that he could think of that he learned in his career. He didn't care about order or how it looked or what. He just put it all on paper, which eventually became the book, How's the Culture in Your Kingdom? Came from Daniel just putting his thoughts down as he left Disney.
Yeah, I agree. Too many people underestimate what they know from their experience of life and and work and jobs and the obstacles they've been through and how they solved them. And yeah, don't underestimate the influence you have. Don't underestimate what you know because if you've been through those fires of life, you know a lot. And a lot of young people out there in the world and even older people are looking for help and solutions. And because of the anxiety they're under, they don't know what to do next, and they need a little of encouragement. And encouragement can get somebody to start. And somebody wrote me the other day and said, I want to write a book. And I've been wanting to write this book for 20 years. And they said, how do I do it? I said, you get up and you write. Every day you write. So, and that's what I did when I wrote my book. I wrote from 8:30 to 10:30 every morning, 7 days a week. Because you've got to discipline yourself to do what you want to do. Or people say, I want to get into better physical shape. Well, you got to put your shoes on and go out the door and exercise and whatever. And so it's just those first steps to get you started until you start to see a little bit of the results, and then you get excited about it. And then other people notice, and then you're teaching in a way, sometimes just by role modeling something that people go, wow, I could do that. So don't underestimate what you can do and how much of a difference you can make. It's a lot. It's big.
It's big. Yeah, that is great advice, Lee. And time management magic, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lee. all of that information was already in Lee's head, and he sat down every morning and wrote for 2 hours and finished it in a month. That's all it took, the discipline to sit down and write every single day for a month.
Yeah, you know more than you think you do. And when you start thinking about it, then you find out that you knew more than you thought you did.
Lee, I'm going to finish this episode with it's almost the same question with minor details. During the 500th episode celebration event, we had the same question asked with some different details. And I'm going to ask several of them here so I can wipe all of these off my sheet. And they came from Craig Duncan, Lori Mode, Francesca Timpestini, and it was all Lee. When are you coming back to London? When are you coming to Australia? When are you coming to Paris? When are you coming to Louisville, Kentucky? So Lee, I think there's demand. People want to see you more, and
Yeah.
Lee may tell you he doesn't have much travel plan this year. But Lee, maybe instead of getting you in these locations, we just start doing more virtual live events like the 500th episode celebration.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And people who are seriously want to get deeply into it can also think about coming to some of our events here, our masterminds, and participating for a couple of days. And if there's, yeah, I would say come to Orlando instead of me trying to fly all over the world right now. But yeah, we'll try to answer questions. We'll try to help people, and we can get you on. Zoom so we can see each other. There's a lot of ways to have that contact and to help develop answers for the questions you might have.
Yeah, that's right. And the next Creating Magic Mastermind is coming up in October. The next world class workshop, how to create a world class customer experience, is coming up in July. So there is a lot of opportunity, and maybe since Lee is slowing down a little bit on travel, we can put more events on in Orlando. That's something we can explore. But in the meantime, we will just keep answering questions like we are. I think we'll have a pretty good series of questions drawn from that 500th episode event. But if you have a question, if something you hear us talk about sparks a question or a topic you want Lee to talk about, reach out to either one of us. You can reach Lee at leecockerell.com. I'm at jodymayberry.com. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.